Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, wherever you are in the world. This is Raffy Gutierrez for another episode of Crossroads of Faith, and welcome to the channel Usapang Religion. Thank you very much again for liking and subscribing. It really helps us a lot, and we continue to hope that you will share our videos to your friends and family. So without further ado, I want to start on my topic today. As you can see, I'm doing something a little different. I have a PowerPoint slide to talk about uh, the topic for this week. The title is Quadrants of Faith. And just a little background why this topic. For a little bit of time now, I've been thinking what is or what are the main reasons why people of different beliefs and faiths usually have a difficult time find a common ground, find a place where they can talk about their faith and religion without getting to a point where they start arguing, debating, fighting, and really just you know understanding why it is so difficult for people even within the same religion to find a common ground where they can talk and share their belief without getting into some kind of argument or even trouble. So last couple of weeks, I decided to put together what I believe are the four quadrants in which every single person will fall under in terms of what they believe in and their approach to their belief, to their faith. So just a heads up, this is going to be an introduction to this topic today. So I will be doing deep dives on each of the quadrants in the future, so that I will not spend several hours today trying to explain each of the quadrants. So my hope is to give an overview, and hopefully by the end of the talk today, you will be able to determine which where you fall in which quadrant is most suitable for your belief system or the kind of faith you have. So let me first get into the terms so that we can have a common ground, at least in terms of what each of these words mean, at least in terms of the respective headings. So believer essentially is someone who believes in a higher being, a higher authority, a higher source, and may not necessarily be a higher being. It could be also a believer of other realms of existence. So for Buddhists, could be nirvana. So of course, for Christians, it will be God, and then there will be their heaven. So this not necessarily mean a believer of divine beings. It could be places in other dimensions. Okay, so that's believer. Non-believer will be your mainstream atheists who do not believe anything that is not perceivable through the five senses. So if it cannot be seen with the eyes or heard with the ears and reached by our senses, it does not exist. Then we have the self-powered on the left side. This is basically our own actions and the things we do that will eventually affect or determine the future that we have. Whether it's getting to heaven, getting to nirvana, realizing enlightenment or nirvana, or just being able to have a good life in the future or a bad life, depending on how you look at it. And other power is depending, making our destination, our target or objective, be totally dependent on the higher being or the the higher realm we are hoping to get, or if not higher realm, just pure circumstance or luck and situations that are far beyond our control and capability to manipulate affect what will eventually be our future. So with those definitions out of the way, let's take a look at each of these quadrants and see where where we might where we might belong. First is the first is the self-powered believer. So the self-powered believers are those that believe that one must work their way towards achieving, reaching heaven, uh, getting the approval of God, or reaching enlightenment if you're a Buddhist. So I put here Zen Buddhism because I'm a Zen. I consider myself a Zen Buddhist, and Zen Buddhists believe that it is through the practice of Zen meditation or Zen and Zen practice that one will be able to attain what the Buddha attained in becoming awake or enlightened. So we need to do our Zen practice to reach enlightenment. Some sects of mainstream Christianity, although may not be 100% self-powered faith, believe they have to work out their faith. And it's not through faith alone that one is saved, but living a good life and following certain commandments or sacraments that one will be able to reach heaven or gain paradise. So self-powered believer depends on oneself and one's actions primarily to reach whatever it is that is aspired for or hoped for in the next moment and in the afterlife. Okay. Next part is self-powered non-believer. So a self-powered non-believer is, we can basically say, an atheist who believes that it is through the actions that we take or that they take that will determine the outcome, that will determine the future. So these are the atheists or those who believe that you create your own meaning and your own purpose. You do not depend on anything outside yourself to determine what your future will bring, what future will hold, except through the things you do in the present moment, whether it's for the short term, the mid term, or the long term. So you have the existentialists, the humanists, and even absurd, those who practice absurdism. So that these are the people who depend on what they do to be able to realize whatever it is they're hoping for in the future. Let's go to the right side of the quadrant. Then we have the other power believer. So these are the believers that strongly believe that it is through faith alone that one is saved. So notice that I put here, of course, mainstream evangelicals, the Lutherans, Baptists. Most of these mainstream Christian sects believe that it is through faith alone and nothing that you can do, no kind of good work you can will give will make you go to heaven. It is strictly through faith by the grace of God that one is saved. I also put here Pure Land Buddhism, specifically the Shinran-kai sect of Pure Land, who believe that it is through putting one's trust in the compassion of Amida Buddha and chanting a chant called the Nembutsu that one reaches enlightenment nirvana by first going to the Pure Land, where Amida Buddha supposedly resides or stays in, and there ultimately become uh, fully enlightened, reach the highest stage of enlightenment. So as you can see, even among the Buddhists, there are varying beliefs on how one reaches enlightenment. The Zen Buddhists on the left side of the quadrant believes that it is through the practice of meditation one is enlightened. The other Buddhists, the Pure Land Buddhists, believe that it is through putting their faith in the compassion of Amida Buddha one reaches enlightenment through the Pure Land. So these are the other power believers. Underneath, we have the other power unbeliever. These are the fatalists. These are the atheists or the people who do not believe in anything that is not provable materially. But they also believe that nothing they do will also affect the future. They believe that fate, uh, circumstance, chance, luck, however way you you define these terms, have already determined what will happen. So there is no higher power, there is no divine realm where they 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 anchor this belief just but purely through knowing that uh, by pure random chance the future has already been determined. Nothing they can do will change whatever outcome it is they're hoping for. Okay. So I mentioned these four different categories of belief, hoping that nobody will say that, or my intention being uh, to say that one is better than the other is, or one being more correct, or one is not the right way. This is to explain and hopefully make people understand where all of us might be in our journey in spirituality, or if you're not in a journey, where you might be standing from the perspective of someone who believes. So you might be a self-powered atheist who believe that it is up to our actions that will determine the future, or somebody who believes in God, but we still have to do our part. Or we are a believer who believes that nothing we do can affect the outcome of our salvation. Or the atheists who also believe that for some inexplicable luck or lack of luck, our future has already been determined. So these, my friends, are the quadrants of faith that I hope provided you with a little bit more insight on where all of us, or most of us, stand in terms of belief, action, lack of action, and putting all of these together in one understandable form. So I will be discussing more in depth in the future what each of these quadrants are, or what role they play in the in this quadrants of faith discussion. I will really appreciate your comments, how we can improve the content and create something that will really become a guide for those who are seeking to understand how we can fill the chasm, how we can fill the gap, and make it easier to find common ground when people are having a spiritual discussion. And see from this particular vantage where we can come together and not have to fight unnecessarily, cause too much division, strife, chaos, and hate, and all the agony underlying what we believe. Because we, at the end of the day, we shouldn't be fighting about faith, right? So this is Raffy Gutierrez, and I thank you for listening in. Uh, Kindly share your comments below, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Thank you very much.